The IIHS sent a Chevrolet Blazer into a barrier at 40 miles per hour. The structure collapsed. Head injury criterion 826, overall rating poor. Yet this was the SUV that had dominated its segment through the 90s, priced under $20,000, powered by a 4.3-liter V6, delivering 260 pound-feet of torque. That crash test did not just destroy a vehicle. It unraveled a reputation years in the making. When the redesigned Chevrolet Blazer rolled into showrooms for 1995, it looked nothing like the boxy S10s of the past. Gone were the sharp edges and upright stance. In their place, smooth aerodynamic lines, rounded fenders, and a sloping nose, styling that felt right at home in suburban driveways and commuter parking lots. Chevrolet dropped the S10 prefix, signaling a move away from pure utility and toward a broader audience. Press reviews called the new shape head-turning, praising its shift from rugged truck to family-ready SUV. The Blazer's arrival did not just catch the eye of buyers, it earned two distinct honors in its debut year, separate accolades that are often confused. Cars.com named it the top sport utility model for 1995, citing its blend of engineering, build quality, and performance at an accessible price. In a Canadian car and driver comparison, the Blazer scored a strong second place, just 4 points behind the Jeep Grand Cherokee, beating out the Ford Explorer in a three-way test. These were not industry-wide trophies, but they mattered to shoppers and dealers. One number stood out in every review: the price. A base Blazer listed under $20,000, often coming in around $16,000 for a two-door or $18,000 for a four-door with popular options. That undercut most rivals and put a V6-powered four-wheel drive SUV within reach of middle-class families. Chevrolet's strategy was clear: offer a vehicle that looked modern, felt approachable, and did not break the bank. For a moment, it worked. The Blazer became the SUV of choice for buyers who wanted style, space, and a badge they recognized. Under the hood, the Blazer's reputation rested on a powertrain that felt more like a muscle car than a family SUV. The 4.3-liter Vortec V6 was not just another midsize engine, it was a direct descendant of the legendary small-block Chevy, sharing the same 4-inch bore and 3.48-inch stroke as the 350 V8. That mechanical DNA mattered. It gave the Blazer a kind of torque-rich personality that set it apart from rivals. Factory ratings for the 1995 model listed 195 horsepower and, crucially, 260 pound-feet of torque, more than the Ford Explorer's 4.0-liter V6 could muster. Owners noticed the difference every time they pulled away from a stoplight or merged onto the highway. The fuel system in 1995 used central port injection, a spider setup that delivered fuel through a single central unit to each cylinder pair. It was clever for the time, though not without its quirks. By 1996, Chevrolet rolled out a new Vortec head design with sequential multi-port injection. This upgrade improved airflow and combustion, making the Blazer smoother and more efficient, but it also dropped peak torque slightly to around 250 pound-feet. Still, the engine's broad, flat torque curve kept the Blazer feeling strong, whether loaded with gear or climbing a steep grade. That 4.3-liter V6 would go on to power General Motors trucks and vans well into the next decade, with production lasting through 2014 in various forms. For enthusiasts, the connection to the small-block Chevy was a badge of honor. For families, it meant reliable power for daily life. The engine's versatility and staying power helped cement the Blazer's early success, even as other parts of the SUV would reveal their limits over time. For drivers who wanted more than mall parking lots and school drop-offs, Chevrolet offered something no rival could match: the ZR2 package. This was not just a badge or a set of stickers. The ZR2 was a transformation, available only on the two-door Blazer. Chevrolet engineers started by widening the frame by nearly 4 inches, about 100 millimeters, giving the ZR2 a broader stance and more stability on rough terrain. The suspension was reworked with heavy-duty Bilstein shocks, longer and stronger control arms, and unique torsion bars up front. Underneath, skid plates protected vital parts from rocks and debris, while the axles were beefed up to handle serious abuse. The ZR2 rolled on 31 by 10.5-inch all-terrain tires mounted on 15-inch alloy wheels with pronounced fender flares to cover the extra width. Ground clearance jumped to over 8 inches, and approach and departure angles rivaled some purpose-built off-roaders of the era. No four-door Blazer ever got the ZR2 treatment. This was strictly for those who wanted to hit the trails, not just the suburbs. Enthusiast magazines put the ZR2 through its paces on muddy fire roads and rocky climbs, finding it could go places a stock Explorer or Grand Cherokee would not dare. Owners still talk about the ZR2's breakover angles and its ability to shrug off punishment. For a few years, the Blazer was not just a family SUV, it was a legitimate off-road contender, with the hardware to prove it. For all the Blazer's showroom appeal, the experience changed once drivers settled in behind the wheel. Owners who expected the promise of a modern SUV quickly found themselves grappling with realities that did not match the brochure. The dashboard and door panels felt hollow, with hard plastics that creaked and faded under sunlight. Even after the 1998 interior refresh, when Chevrolet added a passenger airbag, redesigned the dash, and swapped in chunkier controls, complaints about rattles and cheap trim never fully disappeared. But it was the mechanical side that truly tested patience. The in-tank fuel pump became a rite of passage for Blazer owners, often failing before 100,000 miles and leaving drivers stranded with a repair bill north of $800. Early models with central port injection, nicknamed the Spider system, were notorious for cracked plastic lines and leaky poppet valves, leading to hard starts, misfires, and a steady stream of check engine lights. Even after the switch to Vortec heads and sequential injection in 1996, fuel delivery issues lingered in owner forums and service bulletins. The front suspension took a beating under the weight of the V6 and the demands of four-wheel drive. Ball joints, idler arms, and tie rods wore out at an alarming rate, sometimes well before 75,000 miles. Mechanics grew familiar with the Blazer's clunks and groans, and the phrase, "needs front-end work," became a fixture in used listings. Four-wheel drive models added another headache. The electronic actuator for the transfer case, designed for convenience, was prone to failure, leaving the SUV stuck in two-wheel drive just when extra traction was needed most. Each of these problems chipped away at the confidence that buyers once felt. The Blazer still had the looks and the badge, but for many, the reality of ownership was defined by trips to the shop and the nagging sense that something else might soon go wrong. The moment the IIHS released its crash test results for the Chevrolet Blazer, the numbers told a story no marketing campaign could spin. In the 40 miles per hour, moderate overlap frontal test, the Blazer's structure crumpled well beyond the norm. Instrumentation showed the driver's footwell pushed back 13 inches, enough to trap feet and shins. The steering column lurched upward and sideways as the dummy's head snapped off the airbag and slammed into the windowsill and B-pillar. The measured head injury criterion, HIC 15, spiked to 826, more than double what is considered survivable in a serious crash. Engineers noted the driver's survival space collapsed, with intrusion spreading across the cabin. IIHS staff called the structural rating poor, citing uncontrolled dummy movement and a safety cage that simply gave up. For a vehicle that once felt invincible on the road, the test exposed a weakness that could not be ignored. Two-door Blazers rode on a 100.5-inch wheelbase, while four doors stretched to 107 inches, splitting the model into two distinct personalities. By 2002, the newer Trailblazer arrived with a stiffer frame and modern features, yet the classic Blazer lingered in showrooms for bargain hunters and fleet buyers. Retail sales of the two-door ended after 2004, but the four-door carried on in rental and government fleets until 2005, long after most rivals had moved on. Even as the Blazer faded, its influence stuck around. The ZR2 badge, once reserved for the off-road Blazer, found new life on the Colorado and Silverado, a nod to the cult following built on muddy trails and broken axles. The Blazer's story didn't just end, it echoed through Chevrolet's lineup for years to come. Today, the Blazer's legacy stands as both a badge of 90s SUV ambition and a warning. Enthusiasts still chase ZR2s for their capability, but safety standards now demand more than style or nostalgia. Progress means questioning what we accept, because reputations, like crash ratings, won't shield us forever.